everyone, it's Jess here and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build on my channel. So today I have been so excited to share this little build with you guys. It is a tiny off-grid cabin in the woods, and I felt so inspired whilst I was making this, and yeah, I have so much to say about it, so it's really exciting. So for this build, I felt like making something a little bit different from what I normally create for my channel, and I don't really know where the inspiration from this came, to be honest. I didn't even use any references for this at all. I didn't, like no Pinterest photos, no nothing. I just completely made it up in my head. Maybe it's been a place that I've been dreaming about lately. I'm not entirely sure, but I wanted something that really reflected being calm and peaceful and one with nature, and I feel like this little cabin is probably, if I had to live somewhere that was off-grid, it would definitely be this little cabin. So maybe we could say that it's like my dream cabin, I guess, where I would live in the woods. If I could escape reality, this is probably where I get taken in my dreams. So it is really tiny. It is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, but it is bigger than I think you'd expect it would be on the inside. It's not absolutely tiny, but it is pretty small. But it's really cute, and that's what I like about it. So I absolutely loved doing the landscaping for this. You'll see I started a little bit of it off camera because I had to use the tool mod to get all of the trees around the lot. But they were these beautiful, tall, I'm gonna say fir trees, but again, please correct me if I'm wrong. And then like lots of spruce and like pine trees all around. And I don't know, for some reason this made me think of somewhere in America. I'm not entirely sure where. I'm thinking like Pacific Northwest, but I might be completely wrong. I'm thinking kind of like more north, if that makes sense. So if you are from there, please let me know where you think this might be set, because it was kind of like a make-believe place in my mind, but it definitely has lots of fallen logs and like mushrooms, which makes me think it's a bit more damp in the autumn and the winter. But I made this in summertime, and there's like loads of flowers and daisies, and the tree over the lake is flowering, and I just thought that was so pretty. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So the house itself has this really cute symmetrical front porch, and I think that's something that you see a lot in slightly like warmer places, is that there's always like a decking, and I don't know, I feel like there's a rocking chair where you can sit and enjoy the quiet evenings and looking at the fireflies, and that's just where, I don't know, where my mind went with this. So yeah, and I used this gorgeous oak paneling, I think, which came from Organic. I will link all the CC, as I usually do, down below in the description if you want to get any of it, but I think for this I used quite a lot of Organic by Harry. There was a lot of landscaping that I did with this. You can see I'm using the terrain tools a lot here, and when I was making the pond, I again decided to make some bits off camera because it just took me such a long time, and I wanted to show you guys the interesting part of me building instead of the bits that take me really long and are a bit of a faff. So I hope you understand that and that you don't mind. But yeah, so you guys can see all the kind of like thumb bits where it's all coming together, because it's just a bit more interesting, I think, to watch. So I made it's very like lush landscaping and like grass and plants and foliage and things. And yeah, it was great. So here I'm placing lots of this like soft, fluffy looking grass that I believe came with Get Together, along with some daisies, which were called Oopsie daisies, which I thought was a really cute name for them. The one thing that annoyed me about this lot was that there's the road that pulls up to it, and I couldn't find a way to get rid of that at all. I think towards the end of the build you'll see that I covered it up with a couple of like bushes a bit, but I tried to make it all like look like it was dirt, and it just didn't look right at all. So I left it as it was. You'll just have to imagine that it's on this long, beautiful winding path into the woods, and it's really secluded and like off the grid. But yeah, so I can't change those parts of the game, unfortunately, but I did try my best. So in terms of what your Sims can do here, I added lots of outdoor activities because I think that comes with living a lifestyle that's full of nature and being off the grid. So there's a pond which is fully stocked with like fish and fireflies and dragonflies and things, and it's quite overgrown. Like, I think the person who lives here is definitely very calm, very one with nature, and so they don't like manicure or like landscape their garden, if that makes sense. So there's an old boat on the pond, and I don't think you can use it, unfortunately, but it is an awesome looking decoration. There's also a fire pit that you can see, or like a bonfire. I believe that came with Get Together as well, and I really like it because they can, I think they can cook on it and they can like dance around it and sing, and it's great if you have multiple Sims coming to, you know, like you could have a party, I guess. Another thing I used was from Cottage Living. I used the little stumps which have the rabbits and the birds, and in live mode it just looks so gorgeous because there's little birds flying around and rabbits, and really sweet, and makes it look so much more alive. So that's something that I really enjoyed adding in, and I always forget to use those in my builds, so I'm really glad I remembered this time. There is a fishing spot on the lake, so your Sims can fish. Again, I tried to make it as sustainable as I could be, so hopefully your Sims should be able to live a pretty self-sustained life here. There's also a chicken coop, an old barrel which has been turned into a barbecue grill so they can cook outside, and also a washing line, and you'll see there's like the washing basket and then the hampers inside as well. So now we're coming into the inside of the build, and the wallpaper I did in this kind of, I'm gonna say like manky wood finish, but it's not, and it came with Island Living, and I use this wallpaper so much because it has a really nice weathered look to it. I really wanted this build to look like it could have been handmade by the Sim who lives here. Like, maybe the Sim came here and it was like a bit of a rundown shack, and then they did it up, or maybe they even built it from scratch from the materials they found in the wood around them. There certainly is a lot of wood that you use in the build, so if you're someone who's opposed to a lot of wood, I'm really sorry, but I love it. My room in real life is covered in loads of different shades of woods. There's something so grounding about it. It's lovely. But yeah, so I wanted it to look kind of lived in, kind of old as well, but then having like it's still looking tidy and like done up nicely. So I'm now adding lots of clutter in the kitchen, and it's all quite neutral. You'll see the colour scheme in a minute when I get onto the lounge, and it's got this beautiful kind of peacock green or like emerald blue tone, and I really liked that. So I decided to keep the rest of the build quite neutral, because I think if I started using colour along with the wood tones, it would just be too much. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how this turned out. Like I said originally, I had no inspiration for this. I didn't look at any reference pictures online. I just really wanted to let my creativity flow, and you know, I'm doing a lot of builds, mostly like one a week at the moment, but sometimes I even do more, and so it's really important for me to let my creativity flow a little bit, and that's really fun. So yeah, now I'm moving on to the lounge, and here you'll see I've got these beautiful curtains which have like this floral print on them, which was so cool, and I really thought it was like a nod to the person living there being quite eclectic, but also having really good taste, which is why they've like still decorated it so it looks really nice. It's not messy at all. And yeah, a lot of items are still coming from the organic set, like that coffee table, which is just gorgeous. I literally want to use it in every single build that I do. And the rocking chair, which is really sweet, and you would have seen in my little intro video that I had a little clip of my Sim swinging on the rocking chair, and that was just gorgeous to me. I felt like that would totally be what I would do if I was living in this little cabin. Something I did in this build that I don't normally do is I actually added beams, and I really enjoyed that, and I'm definitely going to do that in my future builds a bit more because it adds a bit of like dimension to it, and having the room be split up by beams, I really liked that. I'm now adding in a little desk, which I thought was great to go in this little nook. I didn't have a lot of space in this build, as you'll see. This is kind of the main living area, but I think I've done well to make it not look too crowded. I don't know, you guys let me know how you think I did in the comments, but I think it's alright and I'm quite pleased with it, and I think it's a lovely little nook for them to do some writing on. Like, I've left their book open, maybe they do some journaling, and yeah, so they've got quite a decent sized kitchen, and a lot of the appliances I went with looking quite, I don't want to say scrappy because that sounds bad, but kind of a bit more upcycled. You know, they don't have modern oven and a modern sink. They actually are stuck with something that kind of looks like it's been slapped together, or kind of handmade, and I like that because I think the premise of this is that the sim who lives here lives in the middle of the woods, and so from what I've seen of like off-grid living, you don't have a lot of choice with what you can work with, so you have to kind of like mend and make do. So that's the kind of the vibe I went with this as well. And I hope it doesn't look messy or anything, but I think it really worked, and it just looks like the person who lives here takes a lot of pride and care with their home, but also they don't spend all of their time in their home, if that makes sense. So moving on to the master bedroom, and this is the only bedroom in this house. I did toy around with having a spare mattress on the floor so that like if a guest comes over, but I think realistically someone who lives off the grid is probably a little bit more secluded, so I made them just have one really nice bedroom, and it's really big. It's comfortable, it's really nicely furnished, it's got again these beautiful wood tones, and I carried on the blue from the living room into the bedroom. I put a canopy above the bed. I don't know if it looks too fancy, but in my mind it was a mosquito net, because you know, you can see here that it's beautiful, and a lot of the rooms, like the bathroom and the kitchen, have these open shutters because I imagine it gets really warm in the summer. And so yeah, they would have them open, meaning that you want mosquito nets, and it just have this beautiful breeze coming in the evenings. So that's why I added it. The bathroom was a little bit tricky because it was quite big, but you'll see I added an outdoor shower because that in my mind was just the best. Guys, this video is nearly over. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you loved it. See you soon, guys. Bye.